Hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Greg Furman and these are the market positions for June the 27th, 2017. Now to get started, our first trade for tonight is going to be in the Forex market, specifically the Euro-US pair. Now, what we're looking at here is a rather tricky position here as the euro still continues to hold its ground above the 111 area here. So 111 is basically a real cutoff area. Now, we do have a fresh triple EMA cross from VantagePoint with that critical level coming in at 111.61, 111.57, and 111.80 with a close of 111.81. So we're still closing above all three of the key VantagePoint levels, but a rather slow day. Now, our neural index has been up for several days in a row. Our predicted short-term difference and our strength indicator are above the zero line, and again, one of my favorite signals here from VantagePoint, the medium term crossing over the long term predicted difference to the upside now as the market's been moving lower. Now, our predicted RSI is not in the best place we could ask for here at 45.1, but we're still above the zero line on the predicted MACD, and I would be looking for a crossover on the predicted MACD back to the upside if this trend line can hold. So once again, we're still playing pretty much a range here. I'm going to draw this back in here up at this 113 area. But this 111 area, 110.50 is a very tough nut to crack. There just doesn't seem to be any buyers, US dollar buyers against the euro. So we have to respect that. The VantagePoint triple EMA cross, our 3-day crossing over our 8-day and 18-day predicted moving average. Not the perfect setup here, but it is holding. Now, our short-term crossover is back to the upside. Our medium term is still down, however, and our long term is still down. So this looks like we're starting to shift back to the upside, but once again, a very high risk trade. What I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here before we go into our predicted high and predicted lows of the day. I'm going to put our stops at about 110 here. Give this thing a bit of room to breathe because ultimately the euro has still been very bullish on the year, and if stocks turn lower, then that's probably going to see see money move back into the euro currency. So from here, all we have to do, again, utilizing that daily report from VantagePoint, very, very important. But it's also incredibly important that we're going through our main indicators first. So for tomorrow, we're looking for a relatively minor pullback to 111.46. We're then going to target 112.38. Now again, the very minimum stop I want on this trade, 110.50 here, guys. Give this thing room to breathe. When we look at our trading from last week, we just couldn't move below here. We really didn't even get below 111. And again, that's where you're seeing this trend line is sitting right in this area. So again, I think we have a shot at that. We're going to put our stops at about the minimum stops for your day traders, 110.50. Your medium and longer term traders, I'd be putting them down below 110. Now, that's our first trade for tonight. Now, our second trade for tonight is going to again be in the U.S. Energy Sector. It looks like we're seeing a potential bottom here, a potential bottom on light sweet crude oil. The energy sector, I believe, is going to turn back up to the upside. It's taken a bit of a hit over the last couple of weeks, and some of the energy stocks, like this particular stock, Range Resources, down about 46% on the year, but it's showing signs of life here. Now, our key VantagePoint level, we've got a lot of good indicators here. Our critical level, 22.88, we're closing at 22.91, but the additional levels from VantagePoint, 22.42 and 22.44, so we're closing above all three of those key levels. Now, our neural index for the last 2 days has been pointing up. Our predicted short-term difference and our strength indicator is absolutely moving higher. Now, once again, there's that medium term crossing over our long-term predicted difference to the upside, and if we combine that with our crossover on our predicted MACD and a rising RSI retaking that 50 level, if we can break this 60 level, we should see some actually pretty strong momentum, potential momentum building in this particular stock. So when I look at this, you can see that we've basically been stuck on this VantagePoint 18-day predicted moving average we failed against here several times as we're banging up against this critical level. You can see my lines are all color coded. So we're failing all above this line, but you can, right here, we're basically closing above that key VantagePoint levels. So when we break in our individual crossovers, very important that we look at this. We can see that our short-term crossover, again, when we look at it a little bit closer here, a very important indicator. So our short term is to the upside, our medium term is starting to recover, and our long term is also starting to recover, albeit still pointing lower. So we're trying to catch this stock potentially a little bit early here. That's the game plan. So with the support of the additional indicators, again, I'm not focusing my attention only on one indicator. I'm combining multiple indicators to try and get as clean of a signal as possible. Now, of concern, of course, I'm going to draw in my trend line support here, or resistance, excuse me, and you can see we're closing right on that trend line at 2280. So tomorrow, or in the coming days, if we can break through this trend line that I've drawn in here, this is going to trigger potentially a much bigger move. And I will point out that this stock just a few short months ago was sitting at $30 per share. If we go back even further than that, close to a year ago, this stock was at $45 per share. So like I said in the opening address on this particular stock, I believe it's down about 46%, something like that, on the year. So potentially some very good opportunity. So once again, from here, all we have to do is go in and utilize that very powerful daily report from VantagePoint to fine-tune our entry point. So with our close of 2291 for tomorrow, we're looking for a relatively minor pullback to 2216. We're then going to target 2354. So a good intraday trade, absolutely, but potentially also a very good medium and longer term trade. So when I look at my swing lows here, I want to make sure all my stops are below $21 per share. And the bigger target in play here would probably be back towards the $30 per share mark.